Hey everyone, Dr. Frunkey here with a really exciting unboxing video for you on the Robert Carter Custom Tech. This was the last acquisition that I had from the Blade Show 2018, and I am so excited to bring this knife to you guys for a lot of reasons. And I'll go through all of them here in the video, but I'm going to go ahead and back up and sort of explain my interest in this knife by explaining some of the knives that I've had in the past. Now, I discovered knives kind of through, I would say through Jim Skelton's videos were a big influence. I watched the Frank Fisher battle video, and I got interested in Frank Fisher, and then I saw that he did a collaboration called the Talon with Robert Carter, and I owned that knife, so I learned about Rob Carter. I ended up getting this knife, the BBM, which is pretty much a star here on the show, and one of my absolute favorite knives of all time, bar none, one of the greatest knives I've ever handled. Just for the size, the craftsmanship, and just the perfection that's going on here. And so I'm following Rob Carter, and then I realized that he's making some more knives that are a bit more affordable called the Custom Techs. His full custom knives are quite expensive and very ornate, so I was excited when I saw these coming out, but I wasn't able to get on the list. I picked this up at Blade Show, not from Rob, but actually in the pit from my good buddy Andrew, who goes by Fanatic Edge. Perhaps you're familiar with him from my channel, but he owned this knife and I was able to buy this from him at a reasonable price. So I'm going to go ahead and move the BBM off the screen here. Very thankful to have this one here to present to you guys. Super awesome knife. Let's go ahead and get some vital signs on the Custom Tech right here. Up front, we are looking at a 3-inch blade of CPM 154, about 3.4 inches back to the pivot, about 7 inches in overall length, with about a 4-inch handle going on right there. The handle width is going to be coming in at exactly half an inch, so I'll go ahead and show you that here on the calipers, 0.500, perfectly half an inch. And then the blade stock is going to be coming in at 159 thousandths or 160 thousandths right there. The weight of this guy is a little bit on the heavy side considering the size. You have a 3-inch blade and the overall weight comes in at 4.44 ounces. But all that titanium and Timascus going on, that special Robmascus that we'll talk about, adds a little bit of chunk to this otherwise small knife. But I appreciate that because it gives it a real sense of quality. Let me bring out another couple of knives for a size comparison real quick. Here's a Spyderco Para 3. So you'll see actually that the Custom Tech is actually substantially smaller even than a Para 3. And of course, here's the Paramilitary 2 for a size comparison. I have a couple of other small knives here. Let me bring out the Ontario Knife Company Carter Trinity, which is basically based off of the BBM right here. These are another couple of small knives. So you can see why I was excited about this knife. The overall size profile and some of the blade profile is very similar to the BBM. This smaller size category is something that I've been enjoying lately, something a little bit lighter to carry. I'll bring out a VDK goat. This is a small goat. This one I'm going to be offering as a giveaway on my Instagram at some point in the very imminent future. And why not a special cameo from a very special knife? Here is a Michael Raymond Starlet, a 3.25-inch integral handled beauty. That's going to get its own video at some point. So moving right along, let's go ahead and break this knife down anatomically. Up front is that blade of CPM 154. Done in what Rob calls a spanto grind, and that's exactly what it is. It is a spear point tanto. It has a compound grind with a hollow grind on the primary bevel, flat grind out there at the tip, an awesome harpoon-style swedge, but that also has a functional divot in the blade right there, so you can get your thumb on there and really use it for fine work. You can also get your finger over the top of it and use it for some draw cutting. This is one of my favorite grips right now. I've found myself doing this more often, and so to have that is just a really nice joy to have that on the blade. What you're also going to notice is that there is a little thumb disc as the opening mechanism on this. Now, some people are immediately going to cringe and say, oh, I don't like thumb discs, but take a look at this thumb disc. This is black Robtanium. This is like black Timascus or Zircuti, where it is zirconium and different titanium alloys that are forge welded together. One of the things I like about Rob and why I'm so fascinated by his work is that he does very often some sole authorship materials. What that means is that he makes his own black Timascus and Timascus, and he calls it black Robmascus and Robmascus. And he also makes, I should say, black Robtanium, sorry, and Robtanium. He also makes steel that he calls Robmascus. And so it's just cool that he can do that, and it just adds to his sort of allure in my mind as a knife maker that he's also basically a blacksmith, and so that's neat to me. But the reason that these knives are called custom techs is that he gets the titanium scales and the blade blanks cut out by a machine shop somewhere, but he does all the rest of the work on this. So to have these sole authorship materials on what is essentially a fully customized knife from him is very, very special. So I'll just draw your attention back to the thumb disc right there. It makes it actually pretty easy to open. It's basically, I can get the fat of my thumb underneath it, and it opens like that. I can put my thumbnail underneath it. I can even spidey flick it. That's how I knew I was going to buy this knife. When I put this in my hand and I was able to spidey flick it just like the BBM, but now it looks like this, I knew that this was the knife that I had to buy, so I picked it up right then and there. Moving back to the pivot and the deployment, the detent is quite strong, and so if you're not familiar with how to open a strong detent, you might struggle opening this guy, but as you can see, it's easy for me to just flick open all day. It runs on steel caged ball bearings on the inside. The pivot has these beautiful collars, also done in the black Robtanium. Just incredible stuff going on here. Let me show you. Rob usually puts his presentation pivot side on the lock side here. I think that draws a lot of attention to the clip as well. I appreciate that. People are always showing off the presentation side of the knife. This one is interesting on both sides. I do appreciate that. And that is because of these awesome handles. Let's go ahead and talk about these. These are slabs of titanium that have a black ceramic coating on them. So one of the special things about my BBM was that the handle was actually blackened. So what that means is the titanium is heated up to red hot and then quenched in oil over and over again, and it creates this thick black coating that is a very unique thing that Rob is actually very good at. He makes this very dark black finish that not a lot of other makers are able to do. I also have blackened finish on my brown knife servo, but it's a bit lighter, and so what Rob found is that doing those darker finishes would sometimes compromise the strength of the lock bar and they could break. And so on the custom techs, he moved to a black ceramic coating. And to be honest, that's a bit more comfortable to me because it's something that can be fixed, and it's something that's probably a bit more durable than the blackened coating. This ceramic coating I've found already has been very durable. I've been carrying this knife, and it really does hold up to carry quite nicely. And it looks very cool. It's got that very dark black finish, and this one features some crop circle designs on it. Andrew told me that he basically said, Rob, you can have your choice of how you want to finish the handles. And Rob said it's going to be crop circles, and here we go. And I think it's really cool. It's beautifully done. It's something to look at. You can trace the lines with your eyes and enjoy it. It's something to look at. On this side, it's a little bit more uniform, but very cool to look at. And a unique finish on what would otherwise be a very slab-sided thing. The handle shapes are things that define the Carter knives. So this is going to be based off his F16 handle, as which can be denoted by the sort of squared off edges right here at the back. If it were rounded, it might be called a P40. If it were a flipper, it would be called an F16, but because it has a thumb stud, it'd be called an F16 variant. So this is basically based off his F16 variant model right here. And I've been just really happy to get this in hand. It's a great size. It is very comparable to one of my very favorite knives of all time, the BBM. I'm just very thankful to be able to own this and bring this to you guys and show it to you. I didn't even get to talk about the clip very much. Take a look at this Robmascus clip. Let me clean that off. This is his sole authorship material right here. spectacularly beautiful. He made this by hand, milled Rob Maskus clip. That's what makes this knife so extremely special. All these special materials that he used. And now to pair it up with my BBM, it is truly a special thing. I'm going to be adding to this family with some knives from Nick Chuprin and maybe another BBM coming up soon, so pay attention. Go ahead and click like and subscribe to my channel. Head over to Instagram and follow me and Rob Carter. And as always, guys, take care.